What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am Dial here with the Netflix movie review. Today we're going to be talking about Emilia Perez, this new Netflix musical thriller that came out past November, November of last year. Apparently, this movie has been blowing up the past couple months, and I'm recently finding out about this movie because, for one, it's getting a lot of Oscar buzz, and it's under a lot of controversy. Um, yeah, like I said, I didn't even know this movie was out. I didn't know that it was getting all of these award nominations at the Oscars. I didn't know about all the controversy up until now. So it got me curious to see the film for myself and judge it on my merits and like see if this movie's actually worth talking about. Is it worth all the nominations? Is it worth talking about with all the controversy going on? So yeah, you guys know how it is. I'm going to give my honest opinion about it, and I'm just mainly going to be talking about the movie itself. I will mention a little bit about the controversy, but I don't want my judgment of the film to be based off of outside, stuff going on. You know, I'm mainly just more curious about, does this movie deserve all the nominations that it's getting, um, and like people basing off other people's perception on how the movie is itself. So that's pretty much how it is. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into Emilia Perez. So as I said, I didn't even know anything about this movie. Apparently, I guess they would consider this a foreign film. So I don't know. Going into this, like, I didn't really have any expectations going in. I'm just basing it off of like what I heard over the internet, that the movie isn't really that good, that it's not worth all the nominations that it's getting. And I think some people were even upset that this movie got more nominations than something like Wicked or Dune, most importantly, because apparently Dune is not nominated for best direction or best director, I think, with Denis Villeneuve, but this movie did. And of course, it got a bunch of nominations for, what was it, costume makeup, best leading actress, best supporting actress, best musical or comedy, best foreign film, best film. So a lot of nominations this movie has. I didn't know anything about the plot. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't even know it was a foreign film until I started watching it. Even though there is some English being used in this movie, but for the most part, it is a Spanish movie. So, like I said, I was open to seeing how it is. I am a musical person, so I like me a good musical when it's done right. So, I don't know. So I literally went into this with an open mind. Trying not to let the controversy like affect my feelings on the film itself. Like, I know there's controversy with the director, who's a French director. What's his name? Jacques Audiard. I know I probably mispronounced his name. Apparently, well, you guys know how I feel about French directors. If you guys been following my channel for a while, it's been a mixed bag in my opinion, when I see French directed films. But apparently the director was cultural appropriating certain stuff in the movie. And so there was a whole stir about that. And then the lead actress in the movie, Carla Sofia Gascon, said some not so great things on social media about Jewish people and stuff like that, and that just seemed to be a whole mess. And some people weren't a big fan of the casting. with Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez, especially Selena Gomez, because like she does apparently she doesn't she is of Spanish or Mexican descent, but she doesn't know the language very well. So it's a whole lot of other things. And Zoe Saldana saying that she has some Mexican or Spanish descent in her, but it's probably a small percentage, so people were upset about that. Um, Overall, it's a whole ordeal. Oh, and of course, I forgot to mention that Carlos Sofia Gascon is a transgender actress, and of course, there are people accusing the Oscars of nominating this film not so much for the quality of the movie itself, but to be inclusive and have diversity for the Academy. And as far as that, like, I don't think a movie should be nominated based on, how inclusive it is or, the representation. It should only be based on the quality of the filmmaking, the acting, um, you know, all that into making the movie itself. That should be more important than inclusion. I don't even know why we're even having a conversation about that. There's nothing wrong with having diversity and inclusion in film as long as it serves the story in the movie itself. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going on with this film, but as I said, I was just going to sit down and judge the movie for myself and see if this movie was even worth all the hubbub going on with this film. And after sitting down and watching it, uh, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie either. Um, yeah, I it's so strange because like this movie, like, I don't know, this movie doesn't seem, it's not very memorable to me, and it's crazy that this movie stirred up so much controversy, um yeah, the movie itself, like, I don't know, I don't think it's an awful movie, and I think there's some interesting things going on as far as the story, and the performances for the most part are really good, but overall, I felt this movie was very messy. Um, for one thing, this movie did not need to be a musical at all. And I honestly think that the musical aspect of this film is clashing with the tone of the movie itself. Because it's trying to be like this really dark drama slash thriller, and it's like it has a very serious tone. But then when we get to the actual songs of the movie, not only do I think that the singing itself and the music itself is not very good, but like it is totally clashing with the film itself. Like the whole for the most of the film, it's very dreary, it's very serious, it's very dark. And then you have the music come in and it's trying to be like this energetic, like sometimes optimistic, sometimes very bubbly type of stuff, and it doesn't work. And like I said, going back to the actual singing itself, I don't think the singing was very good on anyone's account. I was even surprised that Selena Gomez, like, I don't feel like she brought her all as far as singing, and she can sing. She's a decent singer, so I was like, what happened here? Um, so the overall plot of the movie is that a cartel leader goes and finds this lawyer played by Zoe Saldana, and he goes to her to help him transition into becoming a woman. And in turn, his wife, played by Selena Gomez, and his kids, they're trying to set up this like thing where he supposedly dies in order to cover up the fact that he wants to turn into a woman and leave her family behind. Um, so the premise itself, like, it's very fascinating that this cartel leader like wants to go through this big significant change in his life. Um, and it's tragic, like with this choice that he's that he's deciding to make would, affect the people that he loves, and like how does he how does he think that's going to affect his wife and his kids, or like if he decides to just leave his family, wouldn't that, mess with his psyche a little bit? So in a way, I found that very fascinating. I think the problem is with Carla Sofia Gascon's character. Um, I had a hard time like getting behind her motivations. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like her motivations are like justifiable. And I know it's like a personal choice that she's deciding to make, just to be happy. But I don't feel like it feels like I shouldn't be sympathetic towards her situation because she put her family in a very difficult space, in a very difficult situation. And oh, okay, so Carla's character is Juan. So it doesn't feel like Juan like ever really considered the how his family would react to this, like the only really motivation that we're getting from Juan of why he wants to transition to a woman is just because he's not happy. But it's like, why are you not happy? Like, and I know this is like circumstances that people go through in real life, and I'm not even gonna be in try to like be in the same shoes as like the LGBT community. Like, I'm not even gonna try to like, you know, try to say that I can relate to situations that they're going through, because I can't. I'm not part of that community, so I don't want to undermine like the mindset of why people want to transition into a man or a woman. But it just seems like the movie is portraying his motivations as very selfish and like single-minded, and he's being treated as one of the main protagonists of the film, and it's hard for me to follow him because like it just seems like the decision that he's making isn't the right decision and is affecting the people around him, you know? So I had a hard time connecting with that. And another thing that really confused me about the film is that why would he go and find this lawyer to help him transition into a woman? Like, what makes Zoe Saldana's character so special? Her character's name is Rita. What makes her so special? Like, why does he think that she specifically is the only person to help him transition? She's just a lawyer. She's not a doctor. She's not a, psychiatrist or anything like that. I mean, I guess I could understand to an extent that there's like a certain level of desperation coming from him. And then, he's a cartel leader, so he has to be careful where he moves. But it's like, I was just kind of confused of why he went to her specifically. I thought Zoe Saldana was solid. Did a fine job. I wouldn't say that there's anything super that really stands out about her character, but she does a decent job. I mean, I would say that she helps balance out Juan. And they eventually do make a bond. So that was okay, but like I said, nothing super memorable. I will say, as far as nominations, I'll say that Carla did a really good performance in this movie. So that's the one nomination I can see why that she got nominated, because she did do a really good performance. Zoe Saldana did a typical performance, but I guess I also kind of see why she would get nominated as well. Selena Gomez, apparently I'm hearing people saying that she did the best. She also did a really great performance. I would have to disagree. I mean, I don't think she was bad. I thought she was fine, but like, I don't think the movie gave her enough development and enough scenes. It felt like she should have been in the movie a little bit more. She does play an important factor towards the end, but it's like it almost felt like she's secondary to everything else going on. And it's ironic because, like, you know, Juan's decision to transition directly affects her the most, you know. Um, and I honestly felt bad for her because she's put in a situation that she didn't choose to be in the situation. She didn't even know what was going on. She thought her husband died because of, the decision that he's making. So it's like, I understand her going through trauma and all that. So I just wish they gave her a little bit more as far as development towards that. And like I said, her singing, I'm kind of let down by her singing. She probably was the best singer in the movie though, because it's Selena Gomez. So, but as far as her musical numbers, I didn't really care for them. But yeah, and like I said, the music itself is just not very good. It's not very well written. Um, of course, I am sure people talked about that one musical number where Zoe Saldana is at the surgeon's, you know, at the hospital asking the surgeon about how the transition process is, and they're singing about turning the penis into vagina. I'm sure a lot of people were talking about that in one musical number specifically, and yeah, it was pretty bad. I thought you know what, actually I actually liked the performances of Juan's kids. They actually had some very heartfelt moments in the movie. It was few and far between, but I thought the kids actually kind of surprised me. There was like one musical number that one of his kids were singing about, remembering their father, and like remembering how he smelled, remembering how he looked and all that other stuff. And I thought that was actually a very sweet moment. I wish there was more of that in the film. Um, and then out of nowhere, like, this movie decides to have like a political message about Mexico in general that doesn't really like tie in very well with the plot at hand. I mean, they try to connect it with, as far as like, one leaving the life of being a cartel leader, and so she ends up creating a nonprofit to help those that are affected by cartels and stuff like that. So that was okay. That was okay, but like, it felt like that stuff was kind of shoehorned in towards the third act and made the runtime longer than it needed to. That seems to be an issue with Netflix in general, with them overstaying their welcome, whether it's movies or series. So that seems to be a similar problem with this. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I gotta say about this movie. Yeah, I definitely don't feel like it deserves all those nominations that it's getting from the Oscars. I definitely think there are movies like Dune or Wicked that deserve more recognition than this. This movie's honestly just not it's not the most memorable thing. It's like, it just feels like another Netflix film, another foreign Netflix film. And I could respect it for actually having a story about the LGBT community that could be interesting, that could be engaging, but like, the writing just feels it feels uninspired. It feels half baked in places. The performances, I would say, are for the most part good. I do think Carla Sofia Gascon did a really good performance. I do think Zoe Saldana was solid, and as Selena Gomez was solid, but I don't know. It's not anything that really blew me away. But I do understand them being nominated for that. But as far as music, as far as writing, as far as direction, I don't see it personally. But I'm not. This is not a movie I'm mad at. And I understand if people have their own personal reasons of why they're mad at this film. But for me, I'm just like, okay, it was a movie. I wouldn't say I regret watching it, but I don't think this is a movie I would go back and watch again. And once again, this has nothing to do with an agenda. This has nothing to do with like the representation or or anything like that. It's just I just don't think it's a very well made film. That's pretty much all it is to it. That's pretty much all it is. Whether it was going to talk about transgender um transgender people or not, like it just wasn't that. It wasn't a strongly written film. The music was poorly executed. The characters could have been better developed. But I mean, yeah, that's really all I feel about it. Like, I don't feel strong feelings towards it. It's just very mediocre. So I'm gonna give Emilia Perez a C minus, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But those are my thoughts on Emilia Perez. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Does the controversy around this movie affected your opinion on this movie? Do you think it deserves all the Oscar nominations that it's getting? Do you like the performances? Do you like the story that they were telling? Or not? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know. So we'll see at the Oscars. We'll see how many Oscars it ends up winning. I'm sure a lot of people will be mad that it'll win anything, but we'll see what happens. It is really strange that like this is getting so many nominations, and then stuff like Dune and Wicked, like I mean they're being recognized, but it's like they don't have as many nominations as this movie. It's just very strange, and it feels like this movie just came out of nowhere. I don't know, it's weird. But if you guys enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. But that's all I have for you, movie fans, and I'll catch you guys next time. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.